Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be testing out Michael's new Make Market sublimation sheets. I actually am not sure how long they've been selling these, but my store seems to have finally gotten them in. Michael's also has their own vinyl and heat transfer vinyl through their brand Make Market, so I will be testing that out soon as well. These are the three sheets I picked up. I have rainbow, black and white floral, and pink. They have two 12x12 sheets inside and two butcher paper sheets as well. If you're new to sublimation, it's a special ink that transfers into another object using heat. It does have to have a compatible coating, which is a light colored high polyester count material or a special coating for mugs, coasters, and tumblers. This embeds into the material so it is permanent. It also has really bright colors. With sublimation, you do need a specific sublimation printer, but what's nice about these sheets is you don't need a printer for it. You just cut it out on the Cricut machine. You are limited though because with a printer you can have multiple colors in one. Cricut came out with infusible ink sheets a few years ago. This is Michael's own take with it. Here is a comparison of Cricut's and Michael's sheets. As you can see, they are very similar. They are the same size. Cricut does sell a pack of 4 as well. Here's the sublimation sheets that Michael's has in the store. I think it's pretty much all that they do have, so it is a lot less than Cricut's. Cricut's has a lot more patterns and colors. Michael's has a good collection of sublimation blanks at their store with the Make Market. I picked up a clear mug, some square coasters, and a t-shirt. First, I'm going to sublimate on these coasters. These are ceramic coasters. It comes with a pack of 4. It does have time and temperature instructions on the back. It says 356 for 120 seconds. I'm actually going to use Cricut's recommended time and temp instead. I'm going to use the black and white floral pattern for this, and this first project I'm actually not going to cut this out on the Cricut. With infusible ink and these sheets, I like to just put the whole pattern just on one blank. It gives it kind of a cool look. These have a black protective cover over the sheets just like Cricut's, and I do try to save these to put my excess sheets back inside. I say that as I rip part of it, so don't do that. Here's what the sheets look like. They are going to look dull at first, just like Cricut's as well, and once it gets pressed, it becomes more vibrant. You also want to be careful when touching these. If you have really oily fingers, it can smudge it, but I didn't have a problem with that at all. Here's what the back of Michael's Make Market sheet looks like. I also grabbed Cricut's black floral sublimation sheet, and the back looks very similar. The coasters have one side that you can sublimate on, and it's pretty clear which side. It's very glossy and shiny. These also came with a self-adhesive cork backing, and once I'm done sublimating on this, I will add that to the back. You want to make sure you clean your surface really well first because if there's any dust on it, it will show up. So I used one of Cricut's cloths first, then I grabbed my lint roller and used that also just to make sure I picked everything up. Then I roll out the paper. This was tightly rolled, so it did not want to lay down flat at all, so I found some random things to put on it. Then I found a spot in the pattern that I wanted to be on my coaster. I laid the shiny side down onto the pattern, so the part that I wanted to sublimate, I put it face down. And here I am just putting heat resistant tape around it to kind of secure it in place. I decided to go off of Cricut's ceramic coaster heat guide, and that is 400 degrees at 240 seconds. With the Cricut Easy Press, you need a mat. I'm using Cricut's mat. I place butcher paper down so that the ink doesn't go through onto the mat, and then I place my sheet on top of that. Then I put butcher paper on top of that. I went to press this and realized that the heat was going to mess up the rest of the sublimation sheet. So after a couple seconds, I removed it and I took my scissors to just cut away from that. I did not want to ruin the rest of the sheet. I was not thinking before I did that. Now I can press it for the full time. I do have the coaster sublimation side facing down. I wasn't sure if it should face up or down, but I went off of what Cricut recommends. I do wish that the Make Market blanks had more instructions on their website. They had a little bit, but not a lot. This is very hot when it's done. I purchased heat resistant gloves because I'm really impatient. I usually wait like a few minutes, then I use my gloves to remove the paper and tape. Here's how this turned out. First of all, it's so pretty, but there is some ghosting as you can see on the edge. So I think for my next one, I am going to try to tape down all 4 sides and see if that helps with the ghosting. I'm going to use the other pattern this time, and here I follow the same process. I place the sublimation side face down on the ink, and I just kind of find a spot where I want it to be. This time I do cut around the edges. Just use the lint roller this time because I felt like it cleaned it a little bit better. I'm using my heavy duty heat transfer tape this time, and I am just taping all 4 edges down. On the corner it is a little tricky, so I just try to pull it as tight as I could. Here's what it looks like with it totally taped down. I follow the same process for this. I place my coaster face down, then place my Cricut Easy Press 2 on top of that. You can definitely use a heat press for these as well. I remove the paper. I like to use my weeding tool to help get the tape off also. Here's how this one turned out. I think it might look a little bit better, but towards the bottom, there is still just a little bit of that ghosting, so I might have needed to tape it down a little bit better. I'm not sure. I'm doing a lot of trial and error with this, but I'm doing this one the same way as I did the first one. I was worried maybe there was some ghosting because I had pressed the Easy Press down, then lifted it back up to cut the sheet, so I thought I would try it one more time. Once again, just a little bit of ghosting on the edge, and these coasters seem like they're a little bit curved at the edge, so that might be a big part of the problem. For my last coaster, I'm doing another trial and error. I'm actually going to flip it around and have the sublimation side face up. It never said in the instructions which one to do, so I thought I'd give it a try and see if that worked. As you can see, that one had a ton of ghosting. So when you are making these coasters, make sure you're facing the sublimation side down. Overall, here's what these look like. They are just so pretty. I love that design. It's beautiful. I do hate when I get that ghosting. If you're making these with a full sheet, I would wrap it around like I did with the second one. Or instead of a full sheet, you can just cut out a design to put on it instead. For my next project, I'm going to add the sublimation sheets on a t-shirt. This is a size medium, and as you can see, it is 100% polyester. I'll head over to Cricut Design Space and grab my design. I'm going to upload my design first. I thought this would look really pretty with the pattern Sublimation ink. I am going to make it 8 inches. I want it to be all one solid color because we're just cutting it out of that one sheet. So I am going to come down here and select weld. That's really all I need to do because I want it to be all one color. I have it sized, so I'll just hit make it. You'll want to mirror your design. For my setting, I'm just going to use the Infusible Ink transfer sheet. I'm using the rainbow sublimation sheets. On their website, that's what it's called, but to me it looks more like sunrise or sunset. But here's the 2 patterns. Here's the one that I'm using, and these rolls are rolled so tightly. It is just so hard to straighten it out, and I made a big mistake here. It got stuck on the sticky part of the mat and pulled off part of the paper. I'd recommend doing this hack. Put your mat underneath your Cricut machine. It gives you space to line it up, but not placing it on the total sticky part of the mat. That's what I would do with these sheets. I really wanted the yellow, pinks, reds, like all those bright colors to be in my shirt, so I decided to still place my sublimation sheet the same way on the mat, even though towards the bottom and on the left side it was ripped. I probably shouldn't have done it this way. I probably should have turned the sublimation sheet around so that I didn't have any of the ripped pieces on it, but I just didn't like the blue color as much. You'll want to use your brayer tool to make sure the sheet's nice and flat on the mat. So, not paying attention to the rip spot, this pattern is very pretty. I was really hoping that my pattern wasn't going to go as far down where it was ripped, but of course it did a little bit on one of the letters. I recommend bending the mat backwards. I think I just had a newer mat and it was just way too sticky. This is kind of thicker material, so I still recommend using the green mat. Now I'm ready to weed it. I was really curious how this would weed out because I have struggled with Cricut Infusible Ink. For some reason with Cricuts, at times I've had the paper get stuck to the sticky sheet and I've just struggled with weeding Infusible Ink a lot. But so far with Michael's Sublimation sheets, it weeded really, really well. I set my easy press to 385 at 40 seconds. Michael's does have a heat guide, and this might be better if you're using an actual heat press, but I decided since I'm using Cricut's easy press that I would just use their heat settings. First, I put butcher paper inside the shirt. You can do white cardstock, but I find it easier just to do butcher paper. You just want to make sure the ink doesn't bleed through to the back of the shirt. Then I grab my lint roller and clean the shirt. To put butcher paper on top of the shirt before I added my heat press, but here I am just preheating it for about 5 to 10 seconds. Then I line up my design face down on the shirt. I add some heat resistant tape on the edge of the design. I probably didn't need to because that clear sheet was pretty sticky. Add butcher paper on top, then press my shirt. I remove the sublimation sheet and look how pretty this is. It is just so vibrant and colorful. I really love it. Here's a look at this shirt. The colors are beautiful. I love how the shirt turned out. It is 100% polyester, so the sublimation ink is going to be the most vibrant with that. Here's my mistake, which makes me really sad, but honestly, I'm still going to wear the shirt. Sometimes it gives it that vintage look, and I am totally fine with it. For my last project, I'm going to use my Cricut mug press to sublimate on this clear mug. I've actually never sublimated on a clear mug before, so I'm excited to try it out. I'm going to upload my design. I'm going to make this 3 inches, and I'll hit make it. I'll mirror my design. Once again, I'll choose Infusible Ink Transfer Sheet for my cut setting. I'm using the pink sublimation sheet for the mug. Going to use that same hack and put my Cricut mat underneath the machine. I really never had issues with the Cricut Infusible Ink sheets like that, so I do feel like they just roll these up tighter so it's harder to straighten them. I use my brayer tool, then load it into the machine and it'll cut it out. I was curious how this would weed out because it's a smaller design and it weeded so well. The only problem was the word needs is so tiny, like super, super tiny, that I lost a couple little pieces from inside the letters, which I think would happen no matter what. Use my lint roller to clean off the mug, then I center my design and place it down. I really like the clear carrier sheet with these. I like it a little bit better than Cricut. It's very sticky and it weeds really well with it. I bought these silicone wraps and they are seriously so cool. They were on sale during Prime Day, so I decided to give it a try. And this mug is a little too small for the mug press, so these wraps fill in the gaps so that you can use so many different mugs and cups in your mug press. Turn my machine on, then place my silicone wrap inside. You want it heating up when the machine's heating up. Once the green light turns on, it's heated up, so I place my cup inside. I also make sure that the whole design is touching the heat plate. Then I push the lever down and it'll automatically start heating up. I really like the mug press because you don't have to set or temperature and time at all. It just automatically does it for you. Once it's done, it'll beep. I just lift the lever up and remove the mug. I'm using heat resistant gloves just to make sure I don't burn myself. And I grab my heat mat so that it can cool off on that. After it's cooled off for just a little bit, I remove the sublimation sheet. Here's how the mug turned out. It is so cute. I really love it. And honestly, I want to make more now because they just turn out so cute. I can't wait to see what this looks like with coffee in it. Overall, I am very impressed with Michael's Make Market sublimation sheets. I would say it's very comparable to Cricut's Infusible Ink sheets. The colors are nice and vibrant, and it weeded out so well. I would say better than Cricut's, unless it was just beginner's luck with this material. Price-wise, it is about the same. Michael's sheets are $9.99, but it seems like they always have a buy one, get one half off, which make them around $7.50 each. Cricut Infusible Ink is a little more expensive on Michael's website, but on Amazon and Cricut, it is around that $7.50 price as well. I think the only thing I didn't like about Michael's sheets is it's rolled up so tight, so it made it a little bit difficult to work with. Also, there doesn't seem to be as many colors or pattern options, and they didn't have a whole lot of instructions online, but I just recommend going off of Cricut Steps for Infusible Ink. I'm really curious what you guys think of this. Have you tried it out, and what are your thoughts? Just let us know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had so much fun putting it together. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I would love it if you subscribed if you are new to my channel.